Recognize Ms. Ansari from Arizona.
Thank you so much, Ranking Member Jayapal. Thank you, Ms. St. John, for being here. The work that you and your team do at the Florence Immigration Project is invaluable, and you have been such an incredible resource to my office as we've navigated these atrocities this year. As you know, I visited the Eloy Detention Center 3 times, and this is a center owned and operated by Core Civic. The conditions that I have seen have been horrific. I've had the opportunity to speak with dozens of women inside the facility now about everything that you described: lack of water, lack of medical care, racist, inhumane treatment, abuse, the rest. So I want to focus on those conditions. You talked about how awful the conditions are. Can you talk a little bit more about how they have worsened under the Trump administration?
Absolutely. I mean, I think one of the biggest differences, again, under the Trump administration are, there's 2 things. First, I think it is the lack of care in the sense of, or the knowing that there is no oversight. There's really, I think, Ms. Owings said, the leash is off. For people who want to behave badly, that is absolutely what they can and will do at this point. And again, we have seen a disturbing rise in complaints around abuses, both verbal and physical abuses. And there is no place to make our complaints anymore. Again, CRCL and OIDO, the Office of ICE and Ombudsman, sorry, I'm stumbling on that one, Detention Office Ombudsman, but those offices used to be a resource where we could at least document what was happening, and officers could potentially come in, or employees could potentially come in and try to rectify the situation. Now people feel that making a complaint, it's screaming into the void. There's absolutely nobody who is willing or interested in helping, which again leads to that, as I said, purposeful sense of hopelessness.
Thank you. You've also represented clients whose medical needs were either neglected or outright denied. I have been so appalled by what I've experienced with the advocacy for Yadi, who is the woman with leukemia at Eloy. She, has lost 70 pounds while being there. This last visit, I actually saw her vomit blood, which is something she's been describing. And the most infuriating part was the experience I had with the staff. The staff member saying, she needs to fill out this form in order to get her medical records after months of waiting to get an oncology appointment, which literally would not have happened had we not advocated publicly for it for many months. And Yadi, had told me she had filled this form out 3 weeks ago, and just the day prior as well, and the woman's like, I haven't seen the form. And I literally sat there for 2 hours basically doing direct patient advocacy. That's one of, I'm sure, countless stories. Can you explain how medical requests are handled at Eloy and how these kind of intentional bureaucratic processes are designed? I loved what you said about purposeful hopelessness. That's exactly the feeling that I got with her.
Absolutely, and thank you for doing that, by the way. Walking people through that process is not always easy. And yeah, I mean, in theory, you can fill out a form and request medical care. The reality is that you fill out the form, it gets ignored. 3, 4, 5 days later, you fill out another form, still nothing happens. And that process just continues. And people really do start to wonder whether they're just getting thrown in the trash. I've had clients ask me that question. An additional thing that we have seen recently is, I'd never seen this before. I've been practicing in the Eloy and Florence detention facilities for almost 15 years, and we had a gentleman who has deteriorating cirrhosis of the liver, who was informed that his specialist care visits had been denied, and he had a note in his medical records saying ER treatment only.
Ms. St. John, I'm so sorry. Votes have been called. We're going to try to get through as many members as possible. Members, if you're willing to shorten your 4 minutes to 3 minutes, that would be great. And we're going to go to Ms. Hoyle from Oregon next.